Center Talk Radio. You're in to all things music.
Welcome to Music Gear Talk. Discover the tech that inspires the pros and powers today's music industry.
That's right. It's another episode of Music Gear Talk on the mighty Inner Talk Media. Your connect to all things music. My name is Florentino Buenaventura, and it's a lovely Tuesday morning here in sunny Southern California, San Diego to be specific. And we are going to have a good time today. Oh, man, I've got to sneeze. Sorry about that, guys. Of course, right when you get on air, that's when it comes on. It just always happens that way. Anyway, we've got a treat today, folks. We've got Line 6 with Eric Klein, Senior Product Manager of the Helix machine of all machines when it comes down to amp simulation, effects, anything that you're going to want to do with this machine you can do. And then, of course, Barry Cleveland, Product Marketing Manager. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks for having us.
Hi.
Hey. So awesome that you guys are here. And you know what? I just want to jump right into it. Man, now, Line 6 has been known for making great modeling devices. This thing is just taking it to a whole nother level. What was the inspiration behind the Helix?
If I remember correctly, I think we've told the story before, but it existed as a white paper back in 2008.
Wow. Okay.
So long before Kemper existed. I think Fractal was very, very small back then, but I joined Line 6 in 2010, and the economy sort of took a dump in 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
And so what would become Helix was supposed to be released before Pod HD 500X. And the notion was going to be this crazy, no holds barred high-end guitar processor. It looked very, very different back then. But then when the economy sort of died, we had to reshift priorities. But then around 2011, we went back and revisited, and I found all of these white papers on this new engine that they were talking about, and said, "This is really cool. Let's start the process." But we had been working on a bunch of other stuff at the time, and so we just sort of started the process of that, and we didn't. Active development started in 2011, so it was a good 4 years of nothing but Helix.
Wow! So it's definitely not the overnight success story. Let's kind of. I want to kind of back up a little bit, because both me and Paul are musicians, and Paul's my engineer here, and he's a guitar player. We've both owned Line 6 products. I think you, Paul, you still have your XT, right?
I still have the XT Live.
Yeah. So. With
old school. Yeah,
definitely, right? It says we've been doing it for a little while.
I like vintage.
So that's a great device. What was it that really kind of separated that initial engine and some of the things that were based on that to where we're at now with Helix?
It's easy to say just raw DSP horsepower. But that is actually a pretty big part of it, simply because if you think about your traditional guitar signal path, I need to have one or two distortions. I need to have an amp, ideally 2 amps, and maybe a cab and IRs, reverb, delay, that sort of thing. The minimum usable signal flow to be able to accommodate a full signal path is going to be X number of effects and amps. And back when XT was around, given that we had, a single, slower shark back then, all right, well, we're going to have to take some leniences here, and we'll have to strip out certain processes, and let's maybe only model one tube stage, or maybe let's not quite nail this tone stack the way that we'd like to, just to be able to fit that in and be able to give the full experience of the full signal flow. But then with Helix, we were able to take way fewer liberties where we could go in and really dig down deep and nail that. And we're not finished. I mean, there's always room for improvement, but the two sharks that are in Helix, and the fact that it has, two MCUs, and the fact that we can now, we allow the user to jump in very quickly to create these really complex tones. It's not nearly the limitation that it used to be.
Wow. Okay. And let's just dive into what that architecture looks like. I know that this is usually a good way to show some demo videos. So what I like to do is maybe have you guys call out some of the URLs where they can get some, obviously they can go to the line6.com/Helix page. Are there any other ways that people can look at this while they are listening along?
Yeah, one of our really cool users built a help site called helixhelp.com. Chad Boston's Facebook user group has a lot of people posting videos and how-to guides and lots of really great discussion there. We have our own forums, which we just relaunched on Friday. Lots and lots of traffic, so we had to rebuild the infrastructure for our forums and part of our website. The gear page is a really good forum that people are jumping into. There's just lots of talk, lots of people sharing stuff, lots of just searching Helix demo on YouTube is going to get you hundreds and hundreds of videos. So,
wow. Okay. Very cool. So with that said, kind of give me, actually all the listeners, not just me, but all the listeners, a description of what types of tools, how they can use the device, and then they can go to one of the videos, one of the, the media solutions that you just mentioned.
Sure. So from the very beginning, we didn't want Helix to be the end all be all of your rig. And at the time, a lot of people still think, hey, you know what? Am I going to go with an amp and pedal board, or am I going to buy this multi-effects / modeler thing? And those of us here at Line 6, because we designed this to be our product, like what's the ultimate box that we ourselves would like to own, the trick is that we also have our favorite pedals and our favorite amps, and we don't want to get rid of them. So if we were going to make a box, we wouldn't make a box to get rid of all of our own gear, because we love our gear. So we wanted something that would act as the centerpiece or central brain of a much larger rig. So if you really, really want Helix to be everything, I suppose you could do that. But, I have, my buddy Angelo, who's now at Maris. He was originally one of the early architects for Helix's DSP engine. And I love my Maris pedals, and I don't want to live without them. And so I want to be able to make sure that I can integrate that into my tone. And, if I have, I still have my favorite tube amps, and I want to be able to use them as well. So that was really important to us from the get-go. But because of that, and because everybody at Line 6 uses their gear in different ways, some people use Helix as just a pedal board going straight into their amps. Some people run them with in-ear monitors. Some people use them with FRFR speakers. Some of us use them in 4-cable method with different amps. Some of us use them in 4-cable method and then swap out the real preamp in our real amp for the modeled preamp, depending on the song or part of the song. So we wanted the flexibility in the I/O and the routing to accommodate as many possible iterations as we could.
Very cool. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, it looks like there's 72 amp stylings, 194 effects pedals, 37 cabinet models, and then also to kind of go along with this, which was really smart, is 16 different miking solutions, so that if you want to get any combination of studio / live sound, it sounds like this is going to be the ticket for anybody listening in.
Yeah, those are the numbers thus far. We still plan on adding lots more. So
now, how's that process for the the person who owns this? They bought it now. You're going to add X amount of amps and cabinets and all that other fun stuff later on. Is it a simple USB stick? How does that work?
We have this software that's a free download on our website called Line 6 Updater, and you can connect any of the Helix or HX products to your computer via USB. It sees it, and then Line 6 Updater sees the newest firmware, and you can update it directly that way.
Wow. Okay, so that's very cool.
Yep.
And how often are you coming out with these fun advancements? Is it on a timetable, or are you actually just doing it as it moves along?
No, we're always working on updates, so that never stops. There's never a point where, okay, we're fine for now, let's go work on something else and then come back. So the Helix team, the sustaining work is ongoing. Sometimes we get distracted with other products, and the reason we're able to provide updates going on in the future is because if they're supplemented with future products. So, for example, when we just announced HX Effects at the NAMM show, it wasn't that we went off to work on HX Effects and forgot about Helix. It was, okay, the fact that we're able to now sell a new product, we can go to the organization and say, no, because there's this new product that allows us to keep bringing the entire platform forward.
Yeah.
So currently Ben and Sam, our sound designers, they're downstairs modeling amps right now. I think they just finished the clean channels of both the Friedman and the Lone Star. So that's going to be out in the next update. That's 2.6. We're not sure exactly when that's out. Today we're ordering a new amp because we want to own all of the amps that we model now. So that will come in next week, and they'll start modeling a new amp.
You guys just got the best job.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's great. And, and we sit and we debate on what the next amp should be. And we have a lot of end users tell us what they want our next amp to be. And it's a combination of a lot of things. It's making the end users happy, but we also don't want to be too predictable. We like to, kind of throw surprises in there, here and there. So it is fun.
Yeah. We're going to, at some point here, I think when, towards the time you're, well, I guess I'll cut to the chase, folks. We got a contest that's happening right now as we speak, and it's going to go for 11 weeks, and it's called the NAMM Celebration Contest, and the Helix is one of the biggies given away. It's probably the biggest prize that we're giving away. There's a couple other great things as well, but there's 25 companies who are giving away some cool gear, and we're super excited about this. We'll have a chance to test that out. We're going to be doing a gear preview on this, so you'll have our videos as well to kind of contribute to the list of community videos that are out here. In fact, I think Paul was salivating because he's a Lone Star guy, right, Paul?
Yeah, Lone Star, and I'm really digging Friedman's as well. One of those dream things that are cool. just a bit out of reach usually for most guitar players. Yeah,
just slightly expensive, but no, that's very cool. With that said, we're going to talk a bit more about the contest, and if you guys want to go to the link there, it's entertalkradio.com/contest, CONTEST, and EnterTalk, which you're listening to on right now. So I don't have to speak or spell that out. So, there'll be you'll see the videos up of all the different gear, and definitely the Line 6 will be up there when its time comes. So, looks like we've got about a minute left in this episode here. Are there any other social medias that you guys want to let the audience know about before we go to the commercial break?
Social media,
Facebook pages?
Pretty much. There are 7string.org. I follow Gear Sluts. There's talkbase.com. There are a lot of forums that we jump in and out of. So,
okay, so you guys are everywhere. So
and we don't do it because it's our job. I do it because I was doing it before I started Line. I joined Line 6, so. Passion. It's what I did, and Line 6 never told me to stop. They're like, yeah, it is. Yeah. As long as you don't say something stupid. And on rare occasions, I'll say something stupid, and they'll be like, hey, Eric, can you take that down? I'm like, okay, fine.
Hey, Eric, we're going to go into a commercial break here. Stay tuned, folks. This is Music Gear Talk with Line 6. Be right back.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on intertalkradio.com.
Welcome to Music Gear Talk. Discover the tech that inspires the pros and powers today's music industry.
All right, it's the second segment of Music Gear Talk on Intertalk Media, your connect to all things music. My name is Florentino Buenaventura. Say that 3 times fast and you will have your tongue tied. But other than that, we are here with Line 6 with Eric Klein and Barry Cleveland. Before I jump into the show, I want to give a shout out to our big sponsor, Pitbull Audio at pitbullaudio.com. Pitbull Audio is the best place to buy gear. If you're a gearhead like the rest of us, which I'm pretty sure you are because you're listening to this show that's all about music gear, Pitbull Audio is the place to go and pick up those great Line 6 Helixes, the many that you're going to want to buy. You're going to want to have one for each room in your house, your studio. Just buy a ton of them. So, Eric, Barry, we were just talking in the break there a little bit about all the fun things that this music industry is all about. And I'm going to turn this to you, Barry. You guys were just at NAMM. We were there a couple of months ago, and we mentioned the NAMM celebration, which is where we give away tons of gear, kind of give back to the players who support all these wonderful companies. What was your thoughts on this year's NAMM? It's bigger. They've got new rooms, and what was the response for the Helix product there?
Oh, the responses were really good, and of course we were showing HX Effects, which was a greatly anticipated product. There've been a lot of noise online for quite a long time of people asking for exactly that product. In fact, I almost had the name together. So there was a lot of enthusiasm there. We had a pretty good sized presence. We had a big booth with lots of demo stations, and people could come by and get hands-on and talk to product specialists and also try them out for themselves. So there's a lot of enthusiasm. We also had a guitar with the Shuriken Variax, recently renamed SR270, which is a long scale, baritone scale, not a baritone guitar, but a baritone scale electric guitar that got a lot of attention. And we had quite a few, not produced yet, but potential custom color instruments there that also received a lot of attention. Then we had a little studio set up where we had Helix Rack, which some people might not be aware of. designed a little more for studio guys or maybe touring professionals that want a rack unit. We had that set up, and also Helix Native, which is the software plugin version of Helix. And if anybody out there in listener land wants to try that out, you can go up to our website and download a 15-day free trial of Helix Native. And that actually is virtually identical to the hardware Helix units. And you can really get a sense of what these guitar models we've been talking about and the effects models and the way the interface works just by, if you have a DAW, which everybody pretty much does these days.
Yeah, definitely. I used to use the Pod Farm by you guys, so I'm imagining this is amplified it quite a bit, pun intended.
Yeah. So we had all that stuff going in the booth, where people could come by and check it out, and we had a pretty steady flow. We also had a lot of on-stage presentations by Stevic McKay, who's the guy behind the Shuriken, Paul Hindmarsh, who's probably well known to anybody who's been watching any Line 6 videos for a while. A great guitar player, and he was demoing stuff. And then we had panels that were set up where we had people coming in, artists of different types, talking about how they used Helix in their live rigs or for recording, and that brought in a lot of people. So it was a pretty active situation there in our booth.
Awesome. And then, was it as crazy? We had a booth there, and it was pretty insane trying to keep up with all the additions that they had for this year with attendees. So I imagine you guys were pretty crazy.
Always.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Awesome. Well, you know what? You kind of touched on a couple of other products. When we're talking about the Helix, most people just think about the big dog that you guys have there. That's the Helix floor. But you mentioned the rack, and there's a bunch of other variations of it. Can we go through what those models are?
So Helix, which we call Helix Floor, is kind of the big floor unit. There's Helix Rack, which is a 3-rack space unit, which is the exact same engine as Helix with a few extra ins and outs. There's a Helix Control, which is a remote for the rack. Last April of last year, we announced Helix LT, which is a slightly scaled down version, less expensive, doesn't have the screens above every switch. And then this NAMM we announced HX Effects, which is really an effects-only version of Helix designed specifically for amp and pedal board guys. The plugin is the one that gets the most use, at least in my studio.
Yeah.
Helix Native, and you can get that separately. Or if you happen to own Helix LT, or Helix Rack, you get a pretty significant discount on the plugin too, because all the presets are compatible. So we had the concept of studio to stage and back, where if you're in a band and you go out on the road, it takes weeks to get your tones ready for the road. And in this case, it takes a minute to transfer all of your tones from your record onto your live rig and then back when you're ready for the next record.
We're starting to see, obviously there's still a lot of people who like the tactile feel of pedals and amp knobs and stuff like that. But I think a lot of this generation is really moving towards the modeling, because it does give them, affords them the ability to have everything without having to break their backs on that. Are you starting to see, and I'm going to put this here to Barry. Are you starting to see the trends moving away, or what is the industry looking like? Is it kind of equaling out? How are guitar players starting to move within this industry?
Well, I think you're always going to have people that are enthusiastic about traditional gear. So tube amps, kind of like what Eric was saying earlier about, we all hear, and most guitar players, I think, have their favorites. There is, I believe, in the last few years, a pretty significant shift in how modeling is perceived. For a while, there was resistance. I think that, and this was years ago, I think that the technology has evolved to the point now where you really can't make a reasonable argument that the high-end modelers don't sound as good, or good is relative, but that they can't hold their own with regular tube amps or analog effects. I think that's shifting. You alluded to younger users. I think there's historically a lot of the sort of almost fetish type gear worship stuff for the older gear stemmed from the early guitar heroes.
Yeah.
So you had people that were the early guitar sales, for example, were largely driven by which guitarists, which guitar gods, if you will, were playing those instruments or what they were using. I think we're moving further away from that. Now, the younger generations aren't really familiar in the same way. They don't have that direct experience of that, so they have maybe a broader view of what musical tools are. And so I think there's been an emphasis more on personal creativity and tools that are going to allow you to achieve what you personally want to do with your music. And it's somebody who might have specialized in a particular instrument. Now they might have quite a few different instruments or lots of different software and other things in their studio. They might be using controllers of different types. It's just a different orientation. And I think all of that bodes well for modeler use. That, sure, I've got my cool old amp and my old effects and all that kind of stuff, and there's certainly a place for that. But you, with a unit like Helix or any of the other big modeling units, there's a universe of creative potential in these things. There's ways to connect up sounds that have never been possible before. And so I think we're really just starting to cross the threshold into a whole new way of looking at what these things are, what's possible in terms of sound creation and sculpting. So I think that is a shift. I'm not sure if that answers your question.
No, I think that does answer my question. In fact, there was the days when I first started out in this business. You had to have your Gibson or Fender, and you had your Marshall, and that was what you had. Now it's changed that. Guys, it's too short, man. We're down to the last minute here. I want to give a shout out to a couple of URLs again. Go to line6.com/Helix, HELIX, and check this out. It's an amazing tool. We named a number of different user groups, and of course, you got to go to YouTube, and there's tons of videos on that. I want to thank you guys for joining us here, and we've got about 30 seconds left. You have one last thought you want to share with the listening audience?
Yeah. So again, you can download Helix Native for 15 days for free. You should go check that out because, as I said, it's exactly the same sound, same user interface. You can really get a sense of what the hardware can do, or you may just be happy with the software. But that's probably the greatest opportunity to to bring a little Helix into your own personal space and check it out for yourself.
Yeah. Line6.com/Helix. This has been Music Gear Talk. My name is Florentino. I've been here with Barry and Eric. Thank you, folks, for joining us. Thank you, Barry and Eric, for joining us. Stay tuned for another show.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on InnerTalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al DiMeola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?